So good, cinnamony. You guys gotta try this at home. Hi everyone, and welcome to Melody Makes a Homemade. In this episode, we'll be baking up some cinnamon rolls from scratch. We will start with a sweet baked dough and fill it with a delicious cinnamon and sugar filling. And then we're gonna throw on some of that cream cheese frosting. So stick around, you're not gonna wanna miss this one. Okay, so let's start with that dough first. We're going to warm up our milk. And we've got 1 cup of milk here. And we've got a 1/3 cup of unsalted butter. 1 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 cup of sugar. We're going to turn the heat up on this. And we're going to let it cook until it starts to bubble on the edges. And we're going to turn the heat off. Okay, so we got slight bubbling here. And the butter's completely melted and the sugar is dissolved in salt. So now we're going to pour it into a bowl. And we're going to let that sit until it reaches, we want to bring the temperature down a little bit. We want it about 110, 105. So when we pour our yeast in, it'll activate it and start to bubble up. Okay, so our milk mixture has cooled down enough to 110 degrees. We're gonna throw our yeast in there and let that activate. Okay, so now we're pouring our yeast in. Our milk mixture got down to 110 degrees. Just mix it around real quick. And we're gonna let this sit for 10 minutes to activate. Okay, our yeast has activated. So now we're gonna start with our flour. I've got 4.5 cups of flour here, but we're gonna take a 1/2 cup of that flour and we're gonna reserve it. We don't know if we need to use it yet, okay? We just don't wanna over flour our dough. So we're gonna take 1/2 of that flour. Okay. Whisk this up, okay. And now we're gonna add our 2 eggs beaten. So now we're gonna set this aside and we're gonna add the rest of this flour. And then if we feel like we need that last 1/2 cup, then we'll add more to it. We just want these to be very soft. It's already thickening, so we may not even need it. Okay, we're gonna need some. And this is when you can sprinkle in a little bit at a time. I think I will put this out on the board. Okay, our dough is nice and ready, so I'm gonna spray this bowl. Put it in here and push it down, and it's going to double in size and rise for us. We're going to cover it up with some plastic wrap. Okay, so we're going to let this sit and rise for an hour, and while that's happening, we're going to start on that cinnamon and sugar filling and cream cheese icing. All right, so now we're going to start with that filling. This is 1 cup of dark brown sugar, or you can use light brown sugar as well. 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. Quick. Okay, and then 1/3 of salted butter, softened. So kind of smash that into your brown sugar. And it's gonna be thick. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our icing. So now we're gonna start off with that cream cheese icing. All right, we're gonna do 1/4 cup of salted butter, softened, 3 ounces of cream cheese, softened, and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And we're gonna blend this up. Break this down a little bit. Okay, and then we're gonna add in 2 cups of powdered sugar. And we're gonna blend this on slow. It's gonna be nice and thick, so it can melt on top of those cinnamon rolls. And I can't wait for these rolls. Now we're gonna move on to rolling out that dough. All right, so our dough has doubled in size, so now we're gonna roll it out onto a floured surface. Just make sure we put, okay, and we're gonna roll this out into a 15 by 20 rectangle. Okay, so that is rolled out, and we're gonna start putting our filling on top and spreading it out. It's gonna be pretty thick, so it's gonna take a little time, but it'll eventually come together. All right, so we've got all of our filling spread out and it's ready to be rolled. So here we go. A little bit at a time. Just want to get a bunch of little rolls out of this. We're going to cut it into about 12 slices, and then we're going to put them into our baking dish. Okay. All right, we're going to try to find the middle here. Do a nice little slice. And then we're going to make them kind of thick. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and we'll usually cut the end off a little bit because he's always a little off. Okay, we have our grease dish here, and we'll just start layering them inside. We want the edges inside so they don't open up while they're baking. We'll play around with it and we'll see how we can fit these in here. This dish should be perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna wrap these up and let them sit for another 30 minutes. All right, so it's been 30 minutes and these are going in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. And then we'll take them out and put that delicious icing on them. All right, it's been 20 minutes. Time to take these babies out. Oh, wow, now look at that deliciousness. Smell like a cinnamon factory in here. Beautiful cinnamon coming out. Filled the pan up. Now we just gotta let them rest for about 10 more minutes. Let them cool down slightly, and then we're gonna spread that beautiful icing on top. So now it's time for the icing. And wait for this part. Just leave it in your pan, and it's still warm, so it's gonna melt the top a little bit. It'll melt down into all those beautiful layers. Okay, that's good. I'm playing with it now. All right, so now we're gonna plate it up. I always like to go for the middle part. Some of that icing on there. It smells so good, cinnamony. Now that's tasty. You guys gotta try this at home. So I hope you guys are enjoying this episode of Melody Makes It Homemade. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe as much as I do. And if you want to leave me a comment and let me know what you think, I'll be waiting. See you next time.